So let's talk about this a little more now. Patricia Yates is from Visit Britain. Rosie Kennar's family business has 8 holiday parks across southern England. Very good morning to you both. I just wonder, Rosie, first of all, you're front and centre in this business. What's happening? What's happened so far? You presumably had to shut down completely.
Yes, we did, Charlie. We got the news on the 20th of March that restaurants and pubs had to close. And then on the 23rd, we were instructed to close our holiday parks completely. And on that day, we had quite a lot of holiday home owners, as well as holiday makers on parks. So the first thing we had to do was send them home. And as you can imagine, lots of people weren't very keen on that. They were quite happy to be where they were. And also, they couldn't actually understand why they couldn't self-isolate in their holiday home units. So, yes, we had to send our staff home. We furloughed 90% of our staff, and very much reflecting what your previous lady said from Blackpool, this is a terrible time of year for us because we have invested very heavily over the winter to make sure that we've got the very best facilities, accommodation and service available for our numerous customers. I mean, this time last year, we would have entertained over 12,500 holiday makers already. And that's not to mention our 2,500 owners that we have who privately own holiday homes on our parks. So, we're taking a big hit at this time.
Patricia, CEO of Visit Britain, you're going to have a very good idea and have seen the numbers of the message getting through to people that you can't go to your holiday homes, you can't go to second homes, to stay at home, to not to travel unless absolutely necessary. What has been the impact on the tourism industry in plain numbers?
And it's been huge because tourism, the industry, hit first and hit hardest. I mean, when we look at forecasts, we reckon about a £15 billion drop in inward tourism from about a £27 billion industry, and domestic even worse, £22 billion drop on an industry that's normally worth about £80 billion. And if you think that tourism employs, over 3 million people right across the country, it really is a job-creating industry. Many of those people are now out on furlough, and the businesses really not sure how they're going to survive.
Well, Patricia, when you hear today, I mean, first of all, just in the last hour, we've had the Bank of England's assessment on the economy. Worst recession on record. We are in recession, in a severe recession now. Unemployment is speculated to rise, even if lockdown happens sooner, with ease sooner rather than later. Plus, you've got the Prime Minister's message this Sunday. What are you expecting in terms of how quickly the tourism industry recovers, if at all, this year?
I think we're hoping and absolutely accepting the lockdown. We're not trying to push against the medical advice at all, but hoping that the Prime Minister will set out some principles and a timeline, so give the industry a bit of a heads up so it knows when it can start business, because it will take businesses a few weeks to get up and running again if they've been closed for that length of time. And then the real hope of the industry is that we can rescue some of the summer. As your people have talked about, tourism business is very seasonal. It normally makes the money in the summer and sort of hangs on for the winter. So if we lose the summer season, that will put more and more businesses at risk.
Rosie, can I just pick up with you on some of the practicalities? I mean, we've just been playing some overhead shots of your caravan park, and I'm looking at how they are arranged. And this is happening in all workplaces and lots of different environments. How are you thinking practically about if and when you can open, whether you can operate with social distancing in place?
Well, actually, as you can see from our accommodation, we're ideally placed for social distancing because our units are quite separate. They're completely self-contained. There's no reason for people to mix unless they want unless they're with family members.
Okay, sorry. Apologies, Rosie. I think maybe you're back with us. Sorry. Finish your point you're making.
Oh, sorry. But our accommodation is completely separate from each other, so we're ideally placed for social distancing. The only thing that people won't be able to do immediately, I'm sure, is to use our facilities. So our restaurants, bars, possibly swimming pools. We're waiting for guidance on all that sort of thing. But we're hoping for some sort of three-tiered introduction system. I think everyone is talking about a slow introduction to any sort of normality, because we're hoping that some of our holiday home owners would be able to come back and use their holiday homes, which they can do quite separately or quite individually. They're completely self-contained with wonderful kitchens and living areas and what have you. And then later on, to introduce, when it's deemed safe by the government, to introduce holiday makers, so letting, and then later on open up our facilities. But clearly we won't be able to immediately offer everything to people as we normally would.
All right, Rosie, thank you very much. Rosie Kennar, who runs Holiday Homes, and also Patricia Yates from Visit Britain. Thank you both very much for your time this morning. Thank you.